Good morning, this is Pixie doing another video. So some thoughts today, I guess, some kind of, from some pagan stuff I've seen, some other material, looking at deities and images and symbols and entities as well, and what that really means in our psyche. So you can construct things like I did with my just one sec. I had my sort of Kali Shenmar. Let's see, that's better. Because I slowed down to a point where I could have to change gear to go forward. But yeah, I had a Kali Shenmar, and it's a representation of Kali, God, female, divine female. So she could be the goddess of climate change, I guess, and all sorts of things. But if I do that, then I add a different dimension to the character. I might subvert her. People might see her as the enemy of man, when actually she's the representation of the nature of man. And she represents the darker aspects of the human psyche. So deities can represent things in the kind of conscious stream of what God is, or the collective spirit, or soul, or the universe. However people want to see this divine order, divine energy, and its manifestations on earth, which in itself is a manifestation. So it's one reality into another. And also, what does this creative force intend for us? Will it eventually consume us? Will we end up... So we have children, so we're actually dividing that force up and creating new versions of this divine energy, or synergy. But will at some point collectively, when you die, will you unify back with that same source? And as a result, you lose your manifestation and become a new type of entity. And I guess for some people as well, or for Luciferians, or maybe for a satanic order, they're wishing to unify themselves as a new god and remove themselves from that system of that creative, almost like trying to betray their creator. Like, I don't know, Pinocchio turning on his father or something, if you want to throw that kind of sort of thing in there. Seeking independence spiritually. And especially if you knew that you had to give up some of your eternity to become unified with some creative force, it would be a big question. However, the intentions of the oversoul, or whatever the universe, however you want to see it, wouldn't necessarily be interested in the pettiness of man. So it's not necessarily, if we fear losing, being mortal, but losing our eternal soul, to be unified into a being, is that a problem? Because or is it just some type of, like I say, when it comes to pettiness, is that a fear of what could happen when you die? That you're remerged with something, or a family group of souls, you become an archetypal existence. And it brings me on to something else as well, is that I could construct this thing in my mind and therefore exist now. And in the same way I can take it apart or rearrange it, because I have that kind of God's creative force that we all do, the capacity to abstractly change something and then set it into motion. And when you die, it doesn't necessarily mean it ends, because it's like data, it's rippled out. It's like Wi-Fi. I mean, my machine may have picked up the Wi-Fi, but the signal went into the universe. And so whatever I was looking at, if I send it pictures of myself, somewhere that's etched into the universe, has gone in somewhere, or other data. It's not limited by a machine and your mind. It's much more of a larger construct. To be honest, was there any separation between me and the machine? Maybe we're just unified together, but it's kind of an abstract form of myself I'm looking at. So with it in mind, I can construct, like if I was looking for a male role model, I wouldn't have to look for one individual. I could simply take the best aspects of one male and roll them into one entity, and this entity would be a representation of all of them. like a collective consciousness. So there's like certain professors that have aspiring intelligence and minds that I find quite interesting, and I think I can a bit like now I've adapted my conscious mind and I'm talking in a particular way. You may notice in other videos I talk completely differently, and that depends on how my mind thinks, how I'm connected consciously, emotional drivers, impulses, how much sleep I've had, the brainwave state of my mind, and if I'm thinking, I mean, it's coming from my soul. I'm not visualising what I'm saying. I'm just simply saying what comes to my being, which is more in spiritual than than psychological at some levels. But then psychological is always there because it's a part of the mind. I guess the mind and behaviour of the human psyche. So, kind of what you have aspects that are in alignment with God is this idea of this creative energy, and then you can turn it into art forms. So, I probably do is I take certain people like Lloyd Pye. I'd like to add him into a piece of art. I'd like to. I find Jordan Peterson interesting. I find Terence. No, I think it's McGregor. I'll double check that. But I take the aspects of their pictures and I merge them into a kind of face. So maybe I slice up their face and I sort of add it together and I make this new entity. And it'll be a representation of these different people that I find aspiring or interesting or intellectual. And then I unify that. And then I guess in my mind, consciously, I'm unifying their theories. I'm thinking, well, I agree with that, I agree with this, I don't agree with that. What works for me? And can you do that? And yes, you can. There used to be things about religion that everything was fixed in place, and therefore if you had a selective opinions from one religion, that you in some way are a heretic, or maybe some other things going on as well. Maybe. Oh, these can't now. Oh, I'll go around here. It's a lot easier, isn't it? Two cars wanted to turn down, one's going straight down, one's very slow and just got his nose stuck out. I can't park in front of the one with his nose out because he's obstructing me from parking in an alignment that allows the other one to come down the road. Thus I had to choose an alternative direction, which is life. If you've got a rock and a hard place, the only route is up, I guess, or something. It's where they both don't exist. Be careful, there's lots of nutters about. There you go. Right, so that's what I think I'll do. I'll create some kind of artwork. And I wouldn't mind, I don't have trouble with YouTube. What I was trying to do is get an editor tool that I could download videos, chop them up, and then reconstruct them into sort of MGTOW. There's some great stuff that fits well into MGTOW, but oh my god. What I'm going to do, I'm going to park in a disabled bay. Because someone's parked in my bay. There we go, it's the best way. And I'm exercising my Luciferianism. I'm taking... Oh, the thing is with disabled bays, if they're underused, then they should be used. It's only when they become in conflict with someone with disabilities, then you have to reconsider. I've got some stores I've gone to, and there's 20 to 30 different disabled bays, and only about 1% of it is being used, so it doesn't make sense. Anyway, this is quickly signing off from this video. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye.